if someone says that they're going to go talk to their spouse, I always like to say, do you think they'll have any questions?
In our household, if somebody believes in something, we support that other person.
You can't buy life insurance. You can apply for life insurance.
Oh.
Yep. Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your hosts, Michael and Courtney Weaver, and today we're going to be doing a 4-part series of overcoming life insurance objections that you hear on the daily, and today we are tackling the spousal objection. I need to talk to my spouse before I do anything. That is what we're tackling today.
Oh, I love it. And we are spouses, so we can speak to this one for sure. This is such a common objection, and I want to remind you before we even get into this, because I know you're going to break down a little bit of like preparing for the objection. You need to remember that anytime you are selling anything and you are asking for payment information, to anticipate an objection. Like, there's nothing that you did wrong. This is part of sales.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a common objection that you are going to see and hear, and we're just going to share how to overcome that. So just know that you are going to have to overcome objections in the close in anything that you're selling.
Anything and everything. And this is one that you will receive, and we're going to share exactly what to say and how to overcome this objection. But before we get into the overcoming objection, how to get the deal done, I want to reiterate the importance specifically, and this isn't all sales, but life insurance is an emotional sell, and digging in on the upfront conversation of why this is important to them, what they would want their financial situation to look like, why would it be important that their family wasn't devastated financially. The more that you can get someone to understand the why and to self-discover that they have a problem that they didn't know that they had, the more success you're going to have in the close. And the more bought in they are to the life insurance plan, the less likely they are to give you an objection.
That's so good. The spousal objection is super common because most people don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to make the wrong choice. So they're actually deferring blame onto somebody else.
I'm going to blame it on her.
Yeah, like
I don't want to blame it on her.
I don't want to make any decision that's number one, going to get me in trouble, or number two, that's going to be wrong. So this is super common in life insurance.
So true. So true. So when I hear the objection, hey, this is all great, but I'd really like to talk to my spouse about it, I like to go into the 1 to 10 close. So for example, hey, Courtney, I'm with you. So always agree. Hey, I understand. I'm with you. I get it. Courtney, totally understand. I like to always talk about any financial decision with my spouse as well. Now, Courtney, out of curiosity, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being that you have zero interest in the life insurance plan that we talked about today, 10 being that you absolutely want this protection for yourself and for your family and you're ready to go today, where are you at on that scale?
7.
A 7? Courtney, we're on the same page. I really believe that you were going to be a really high score, that this was a great benefit for you and your family. So my question, Courtney, is would it just make more sense to take this decision off of your plate? Because first of all, we have to fill out an application. So the first part of getting the life insurance plan started is actually doing the application. Would it make more sense to just go ahead and get the application done and filled out? And then if you go home and talk to your spouse, almost said husband, talk to your spouse, husband, partner, whatever, and they say, absolutely not, we are not doing this. This is a bad decision. You call me tomorrow like this never happened. So let's just go ahead and at least get the application filled out. All I need is the legal spelling of your first and last name. So I'm going to address the objection, but I'm going to assume the application. I'm going to assume the process. I'm going to make Courtney actually say, no, I don't want to get this process started. I don't want to do the application. Even though she gave me a 7, I'm going to make her say, nope, we're not doing the application. I need to go home and talk to my spouse again.
7, 8, and 9 are your common numbers that you're going to get back.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's ever going to give you a 10. I have a question, though. When you go into that conversation and you say, let's go ahead and get the application going, I have heard people give another objection, like from our end to them, where they say, you know what, that's great, because this is actually an application that we need to make sure that you're even a good fit for this policy. So we also have to determine.
You can't buy life insurance. You can apply for life insurance.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Which is that's a really good. I considered putting that one in there, but I'm telling you what I would say on the regular with customers I hear. Like, hey, 1 to 10, they're going to give you a 7, 8, or 9, maybe a 10. Hey, wouldn't it make more sense just to go ahead and get this off of your plate? We have to fill out an application first. We have to apply for life insurance. You just can't buy life insurance. And if you talk to your spouse and they say, absolutely not, this is a terrible deal, you call me tomorrow and we'll pretend like this never happened. Let's go ahead and get the application started. I just need the legal spelling of your first and last name.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to assume it. In which they might still say,
I need to talk to Michael Weaver. I don't make financial decisions without talking to my spouse first.
Courtney, I'm totally with you, and I get that you need to talk to Michael. Quick question. Do you think Michael's going to have any questions about what we talked about today?
No, I don't think so.
So can I ask you, Courtney, like what is the conversation going to look like that you have with Michael?
I'm interested in buying more life insurance for us. This is how much it's going to cost. What are your thoughts?
And what if Michael says, nope, we're not going to do this?
I don't think he'll say that.
Perfect. So what I would think would be best, Courtney, is let's go ahead and just go get the application going. I just need the legal spelling of your first and last name, since Michael's probably not going to object to it anyways. And even if he does, you call me tomorrow and we'll pretend like this never happened. So again, I just need the legal spelling of your first and last name.
Oh, that's so good. Because what you're doing there is you're asking the question because so she actually has more questions. She's using her husband as like the buffer. And you're saying, okay, so when that conversation goes down, what questions do you think he's going to have?
Dang.
Oh, that is so good.
That's why you always ask that question in any, like, it doesn't matter what you're selling, but if someone says that they're going to go talk to their spouse, I always like to say, do you think they'll have any questions? Because that gives the individual you're talking to permission to ask the question without feeling stupid that they had in the first place.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. I love how you did that, because I immediately was like, well, in our household, if somebody believes in something, we support that other person. So when you ask that, I'm like, oh no, he's not really going to have any questions. And if I had questions, I would have asked it at that point.
Because you now have permission to give them. So there's a framework to this. You agree, you overcome the objection, and you assume the application or assume payment information. Like, I could very well have said, hey, let's just go ahead and get this going, because if you talk to Michael and he says, absolutely not, this is a bad deal, you call me tomorrow, we'll pretend like this never happened. The first part of this is filling out the application and also getting it started and paid for. Do you want to put that on a Visa, MasterCard, or Amex?
I love how you've overcome these objections, because it's total permission the whole way through. So first you're saying, all right, you're giving them permission to be like, this is not even something that you want to be interested in, right? Because you want to make sure it's an idle customer. And then you're saying, you're giving them permission to ask questions that they already have. And then you're giving permission to kind of like say, you're not going to make a wrong choice here. I love how you frame that. I think if it were me in that situation and I'm talking to you or somebody else who needs to talk to their spouse, I would already jump into, tell me what that conversation is going to look like. When you sit down tonight and you have that conversation over dinner, watching whatever you're watching, what is that conversation? What questions are you going to have? What's your hesitation around this?
Yep, that's perfect.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, so would you ever assume an appointment based off of this?
So you definitely could, depending on the size of the application, the policy. And also I like to get in front of the spouses as well. So if I'm talking to a wife, I want to get in touch with the husband. If I'm talking to a husband, I want to get in touch with the wife or partner or whatever. So you could always, let's just role play this again. So, hey, Courtney, totally understand that you need to talk to Michael. And I would actually like to have a conversation with Michael as well to make sure that we're all on the same page, because in the event that something happens to you, he needs to have complete understanding, and vice versa. If something happens to him, there needs to be a plan in place on him. And so when would be a good time in the next day or two to put a time on the calendar to get together with both of you to discuss this?
Okay.
And so I'm going to narrow it down, and I'm always going to aim for an in-person meeting. And if it's somebody that's not in drive time, the only verbiage that changes there is, hey, when would be a good time to put a virtual time on the calendar in the next day or two for 30 minutes to just meet and answer any questions that you all have about what we're talking about today?
Always assume the application, and if it's a large, significant policy that you need to have more of an in-depth appointment, that's where you pivot to that.
Yeah, you can do either application or appointment. I personally, if I'm talking to somebody and we've had a great conversation, the first part of this is filling out the application. The second part of this would be getting together for an in-person appointment to talk to both spouses, and then also talking to the spouse about their life insurance plan. But the very first part of this is, number one, even applying for life insurance, because you can't buy life insurance, you apply for life insurance.
Oh, that is so good. All right, so let's recap. Obviously, you broke down the framework, but I want to hear it again, setting it up all the way from the beginning of making sure that you're building rapport, finding the pain point, and things like that.
Yeah, so you're always going to build rapport with somebody, then you're going to have a discovery conversation with them, which is asking them questions. Like, for example, if you were to pass away unexpectedly today, would it be important to you that your family had a plan in place to ensure that they didn't struggle financially? They didn't have to worry about how they're going to make the next mortgage payment or rent payment. They didn't have to worry about potentially selling the house. They didn't have to worry about potentially filing bankruptcy. So getting into that conversation, having a really great conversation, educating them on the product that solves their problem, and then assuming the application or assuming the appointment. That's kind of the steps. And when you hear that first initial objection, it's, hey, I'm with you. I understand. I get it. And what I showed you earlier was the 1 to 10 close. Tell me real fast, Courtney, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being you have zero interest in what we talked about today, 10 being, hey, this makes total sense for your family and protection. I'm ready to get it going today. Where are you at on that? She gave me a 7. Most people will give a 7, 8, or 9, in which then, Courtney, I'm glad we're on the same page. That's a really high score. The first part of this is applying for life insurance. You just can't buy life insurance. Wouldn't it make more sense to just go ahead and get the application started? And then if you talk to Michael tonight and he says absolutely not, you call me tomorrow and we'll act like this never happened. So I just need the legal spelling of your first and last name for the application.
Yee! So good.
Right?
Yeah.
And then be ready to overcome another objection, which we already showed you that. But yeah, that's exactly what you need to say to get more deals done, to get the application filled out or the appointment set. But you're always going to assume. You're agreeing with them. You're overcoming the objection. You're assuming either the application or appointment. That is exactly how you are going to overcome the spousal objection the next time you hear it. We good?
We're so good.
With that being said, we appreciate you. When you take action on this today, please text me and let me know the result of it, 816-727-7610, because if you use this, you will have a positive result. I guarantee it. All right, so text me. Other than that, I appreciate you. We appreciate you. As always, time and attention are by far our most important assets that we have, and we appreciate you spending time with us today on The Buzz. Go out and make it great, baby.